Welcome back all to another lecture in our series of AML. And today we have one of the most important topics of AML, the FATF 40 recommendations. So you have heard about this term many times. This is a big piece of recommendation that the FATF provides for its member countries to follow. So there are total of 40 recommendations. So we'll go ahead and see what these 40 recommendations are in a brief. So let's dive into it. So again, a basic background of FATF. The FATF is known as the Financial Action Task Force. So basically it is an intergovernmental organization established in 1989 on the initiative of the G7, and its main roles is to develop policies on terror financing and anti-money laundering. So in 2001, terror financing was brought into action. Now, what is this 40 recommendations? These are basically kind of recommendations that this FATF provides for this member countries. So in 1990, the first these recommendations were drawn up, and the revisions were done in 1996 to incorporate new scenarios of money laundering. And in 2001, uh, it included the terror financing into the scope of FATF recommendations. So let's go ahead and see how these 40 recommendations are set into play. So basically what we'll do is we'll go to see that in FATF recommendations within the 40, these are again, you can say these are again subdivided into four class. The first would be the legal system. The second would be the measures that needs to be taken by financial institutions and non-financial business and professions to prevent money laundering. The third division or category is that like FATF sees is institutional and other measures necessary in system for combating money laundering and terror financing. And the last one is international cooperation. So these 40 recommendations plus 8 special recommendations are kind of divided into this legal system. So in this legal system, we have subdivision of two categories. One is the scope of criminal offense of money laundering, where two recommendations are present, and provisional measures and confiscation. One recommendation is present. So let's see what this legal system says basically. So here, like FATF recommendation states kind of like countries should criminalize and monetize criminalize money laundering on the basis of United Nations conventions. Like there are two conventions basically that are followed. One is illicit traffic in narcotic drugs and psychotic substances. So that is 1988, the Vienna Convention, and the United Nations Convention against transitional organized crime, that is the 2008, or it is known as the Palmero Convention. So this falls under this legal system. Then we have certain guidelines in which countries should ensure that the intent and knowledge required to prove the offense of money laundering is consistent with standards set forth in the Vienna and Palmero conventions. So those kind of things we have. Then we also have like provisional measures and confiscation. So countries should adopt measures similar to those set forth in these two conventions, where uh, confiscation of the goods or the proceeds is to be done. So these this is how within the first part of the FATF recommendation, or within the legal system, these recommendations are there. Now the second part that we see in the FATF recommendations are measures to be taken by financial institutions and non-financial business and professions to prevent money laundering and terror financing. So under this header or subheader, there are certain recommendations. You can see are sections such as which gives guidelines on customer due diligence and record keeping. Within this, we have 8 recommendations how this should be done. Then reporting of suspicious transaction and compliance. There are 4 recommendations within this. Then other measures to deter money laundering and terror financing. We have 4 recommendations under this. Next is measures to be taken with respect to countries that do not or insufficiently comply with this FATF recommendations. There are 2 recommendations that give us the guideline on how to proceed with this. Then there is regulation and supervision. So there are 3 recommendations within this. So like for example, say in customer due diligence and record keeping, we have say how to establishing business relationships, what documents are needed, carrying out occasional monitoring, then if there is a suspicion of money laundering and terror financing, then what to do, if there is a doubt in the adequacy of previously obtained information from the customer, then what needs to be done, then the CDD, the EDD measures are told. Then institutions are required to have kind of appropriate risk management system, whether the customer is a PEP. So each of these recommendations talks about one of those things. Then you can say there is also the correspondent banking within these recommendations, how to go about if there is a correspondent banking, and all those things are covered under these. So now let's see the next section. So the next section, if you see, is the institutional and other measures necessary in systems for combating money laundering and terror financing. So uh, this can again be subdivided into two categories. The competent authorities, their powers and resources, where there are 7 recommendations on this section. Then we have transparency of legal person and arrangements. So we have kind of 2 recommendations under this section. So what does this say is that countries should like establish financial intelligence units that serve as the center for receiving and analyzing, then dissemination of this money laundering like activities, or say suspicious transactions and other forms of potential money laundering and terror financing activities. Then also countries should have strict laws and regulations where these kind of money laundering activities can be investigated. Then when conducting investigations on money laundering and underlying offenses, then they should be able to obtain documents easily. So these kind of things are present in the competent authorities. Now, for transparency of legal person, we have countries should take measures to prevent the unlawful use of legal person. So, like there certain guidelines are provided so that these legal person or organizations or anything do not go ahead and misuse their authority or power. Then they also should take like prevention for like stopping unlawful use of legal arrangement by these money launderers. So these kind of recommendations are present in this section. Now the last section which I have divided into is the international cooperation. So what does this international cooperation have? Like there, it can again be subdivided into 2 sections: the mutual legal assistance and extradition, uh, where we have 4 recommendations, and other forms of cooperation, where we have 1 recommendation. So what basically this section covers is that countries like should take or become part of this FATF group or the Vienna Convention and the Palmero Convention, and enforce kind of the FATF 40 recommendations on them or their money laundering and terror financing activities if seen. Then like say, then we have like countries should rapidly and constructively go ahead and follow these recommendations set forward, then not prohibit or place unreasonable or unduly restrictive conditions on provisions of mutual legal assistance, ensure that they have clear and efficient process for execution of mutual legal assistance request, not refuse to execute any mutual legal assistance. So countries should ensure that the powers of their competent authorities required under the recommendation number 28 are also available for use. Then go ahead, the countries should be like cooperating with each other. Those kind of things are mentioned here. So briefly, these are the FATF 40 recommendations if you get in anything in an interview. So you can at least go ahead and tell them that yes, it is divided into basically four things: the legal system, the measures to be taken by financial institutions and non-financial businesses and professions to prevent money laundering and terror financing. Then we have institutional and other measures necessary in system for combating money laundering and terror financing. And we have international cooperation. So if you can go ahead and talk about this, then it's more than enough that you know about the recommendations, and you would definitely get a great help. So if you want me to cover each and every recommendation in detail, say from recommendation number 1 to recommendation 40, what it talks about, so I'll definitely go ahead and make videos on that. So that's it for today. And we also have kind of this is a add-on section basically. We have some of the money laundering scandals that happen in the world. So let's go ahead and see one or two. So HSBC Holdings in 2012. So you know HSBC is one of the biggest organizations in this financial world. So what happened in just this is a sample extract. We have many extract from HSBCs. So in 2002, they were fined kind of $1.9 billion by the US authority for allowing drug cartels in Mexico to launder money through its branches. So basically, improper due diligence led to this scandal, and HSBC was fined $1.9 billion. Then we have the Danske Bank 2018. So this is Denmark's largest bank, and this was one of the biggest scandals in the world basically. So what happened is like around 230 billion US dollars worth of money or was laundered through suspicious transactions, and the branch that was involved was the Estonian branch. Now, why this is important, because once this was caught, the regulatory scrutiny was on a different level for all other financial institutions, and all this top executive, they kind of resigned. They were involved in this laundering and all activities. They made millions, and people lost many billions of dollars to this money laundering. Then we have IMDb scandal. So this is a Malaysian kind of bank or institution. So the full form is I Malaysia Development Berhad. So this was also kind of similar, where billions of dollars were embezzled by Malaysian government fund. So you can go to the internet and study about this. This is a very interesting case. This this was done through global cooperation, and they used to purchase. This has all these stages: this integration stage, the layering stage, the placement stage. You can learn many things from this example alone. So how multiple countries were used from one place to another, this proceeds were transferred so to go ahead so that the track could not be found. So you can go ahead and study about this in the you can Google and you will get it. Then we have another scandal, that is the Standard Chartered Bank. So during 2005-2006, the Standard Chartered already received kind of a fine of 600 million US dollars, where the bank broke sanctions that was placed by the US on Iran, and they were working with Iranian nationals or people from Iran. So this was found out, and then the fine was imposed. However, again in 2012, Standard Chartered was accused by this department, New York Department of Financial Services, of the Iranian government's failure in anti-money laundering controls that helped clear the US regulations for $265 billion. So basically, again, Standard Chartered came into news that they were not following these rules and all those, and due to this, approximately $265 billion were kind of transferred. So again, this has the bank has been accused of violating sanctions on Burma, Libya, Sudan. So these are big organizations. So they have robust AML and CFT mechanisms. However, in this developing world where these are continuously changing, we can see that in spite of having a robust AML framework in place, still somehow it gets missed. Hence, AML and KYC, these needs to be updated on a very frequent basis. New things should be incorporated and keep yourself updated. So that's how we can fight money laundering and terror financing. So this is it for today, folks. And thank you once again for your support. We have crossed 800 plus subscriber. So this is wonderful. So let me know and comment down if you want to see all these 40 recommendations. And maybe in the future, I'll go ahead and make videos on say 5-10 recommendations at a time, and we'll cover all the 40. So thank you again and have a great day ahead.